If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, you'll understand how my story begins. I grew up in a house that looked like a postcard. White columns, perfect hedges, warm lights glowing at night. But inside it was all for show. My mother, Linda, was the director of our family's performance, and my older sister, Scarlett, was always the star. I was the quiet one, the afterthought, the girl with her nose in a book while everyone else revolved around Scarlett's orbit. My mother used to say, "Scarlett just has presence," brushing her hair with pride. When it came to me, she'd sigh and say, "Willow's smart, but people don't remember smart." I pretended her words didn't hurt, but they stuck to me like burrs. I found comfort in things that made sense, coding, logic, anything that didn't play favorites. That's where I met Ethan, in a campus workspace. He was gentle, attentive, and for the first time, I felt seen. He noticed the little things, how I organized my notes, how I solved problems, how I moved quietly but with purpose. When I brought him home, my father was warm, Scarlett was polite, but my mother's eyes lit up in a way I didn't understand. Not for Ethan himself, but for what he represented. Ambition, potential, a future she could shape. "It's nice to have someone steady," she said, stirring her tea. "Maybe he'll bring you out of that tech cave." It sounded like a compliment, but it wasn't. I ignored the signs at first. I ignored how Scarlett started dressing up when Ethan visited, how my mother pulled him aside to ask about his goals, how Ethan's tone changed when he talked about my sister. I wanted something in my life to finally go right. But deep down, I knew nothing in my family ever stayed mine for long. The shift was slow. Ethan started showing up late to our study sessions, making vague excuses. He checked his phone more, seemed distracted. One day, he mentioned my mother's lemon chicken. "You saw my parents this week?" I asked. "Oh yeah. Your mom invited me over to talk." My mom hadn't asked me about my classes in months, but she had time for my boyfriend. The first real crack appeared when I found a gas receipt in Ethan's car from Boston, even though he'd told me he was in New York. When I asked, he said, "Your mom needed help with something. She said you were busy." Busy. That was always her excuse for pushing me aside. One weekend, I drove home unannounced. I told Ethan I was staying in my dorm to finish a project, but I needed to see for myself. I walked into my parents' house at 9 p.m. and heard voices, Scarlett's laugh, Ethan's voice, my mother's low, pleased hum. I peeked around the corner. Scarlett was sitting close to Ethan, my mother perched like a queen. Ethan looked lost, already halfway convinced of something he didn't even realize. "She's stronger and better for you," my mother said, her voice sweet as honey. "Willow is distracted. She chooses work over people. Scarlett understands connection." Scarlett lowered her lashes, playing innocent. "I just want you to be happy, Ethan." My heart broke so quietly. It felt like silence. My mother kept going. "Willow will build her career no matter what. But Scarlett needs someone like you. Someone successful. Someone who fits." Like I was a puzzle piece she'd tried to sand down, but never fit. Ethan didn't argue. He didn't defend me. He didn't even notice I was standing there, watching my world tilt sideways. That's when I realized this wasn't an accident. It was a plan, and I was the only one who hadn't been in on it. I don't remember leaving. One moment I was staring at the living room. The next I was in my car, gripping the steering wheel so hard my hands went numb. I didn't go back to campus. I just drove, letting the city lights blur into nothing. When I finally stopped, the grief hit me, sharp, humiliating, total. My mother hadn't just interfered. She'd replaced me. And Ethan just let her. I called the only person I trusted. "Riley, I need help." She didn't ask why. "I'm coming." Within hours, I was back in my dorm, packing a bag while Riley watched. "You need to get out of here," she said. "Not just this dorm. This whole orbit." She was right. I withdrew from my final semester 2 days later. Professors were shocked. Advisors tried to talk me out of it. But I couldn't breathe in Boston anymore. The betrayal didn't just break my heart, it broke the illusion I'd clung to my whole life. That if I worked hard enough, stayed quiet enough, my family would see me. Instead, they showed me exactly who they were. I packed what I could, sold what I couldn't, and moved across the country with one suitcase and no plan except escape. Seattle felt like another planet. No one knew my mother or Scarlett or the girl who'd just watched her life implode. Riley's cousin let me crash on her couch. I remember lying awake, listening to the fridge hum, feeling the weight of failure press into my ribs. But pain is strange. It breaks you open, makes space for something new. One morning, I stood at the window and saw the sun hit the lake. Something inside me whispered, "Get up." So I did. I found a therapist, Dr. Linden, who didn't let me hide behind, "I'm fine." She told me, "You weren't chosen because your family didn't want to see your worth. That's not your failure." I finished my degree in Seattle. I built a new life, one piece at a time. Jobs, routines, friendships, stability. My world didn't rebuild quickly, but it rebuilt honestly. Anger became clarity. Clarity became strength. And strength became something dangerously close to peace. But peace didn't last. Years later, my father texted, asking to visit. Suddenly, everything I'd left behind was coming back. They arrived on a gray Seattle afternoon. My mother first, Scarlett behind her, Ethan looking everywhere but at me, and my father, older and smaller than I remembered. My husband, Michael, stood beside me at the door, steady and warm. My mother's face flickered when she saw him. She hadn't expected this version of me. "Willow, you've built quite the life," she said, her voice sugary, as if she hadn't destroyed the first one. Inside, my mother's eyes swept over the house, the view, the life I'd made. For the first time, I had home field advantage. At dinner, Michael asked, "When was the last time all of you were together?" My mother straightened. "The engagement party, of course." Scarlett stiffened. Ethan nearly choked on his water. Michael nodded. "That must have been difficult for Willow." The room went still. My mother's smile thinned. Willow wasn't emotionally prepared for that season of life. Not betrayal. Not manipulation. Just a season. Scarlett set down her fork, her hands trembling. "We're not doing this. Not here." My mother's voice dropped. "Scarlett, no." But Scarlett pressed on. "Willow deserves the truth." For the first time, she looked at me, not as the golden child, but as a sister. "Mom didn't just talk to Ethan. She called him, told him you were distracted, that you weren't serious about your future together. She even told him you were seeing someone else." "I know you weren't," she added quickly. But I believed her. I was stupid. I thought you'd be fine. That I needed him more. Ethan's face was red. I was wrong. I trusted the wrong people. I should have fought for us. Instead, I let your mother decide our future." My father, silent until now, looked at my mother. "Linda, is this true?" She exhaled sharply. "I protected my daughters. I did what any mother would do." "No," I said. "You did what served your image. What made Scarlett look better. What kept me small." Scarlett wiped her cheeks. "I'm sorry, Willow. I really am." Michael reached for my hand under the table. His grip was grounding real. My mother tried to defend herself, but Michael cut in. "What you did was emotional manipulation. You sabotaged her future because it didn't fit your narrative." My mother bristled. "I won't be lectured in my daughter's home." "No," I said. "You'll listen." I looked at all of them. My parents, my sister, my ex. The people who'd once been my whole world, who'd dismantled it piece by piece. "You cost me years. You cost me my confidence. You told me I wasn't worth choosing, but I built myself back without you." My mother scoffed, but it was weak. "You left us." "No," I replied. "You pushed me out." The room stayed frozen until my father spoke, voice raw. "Willow, I'm so sorry. I knew things were wrong. I didn't stop it. That's my failure, not yours." He looked at my mother. "This ends today." Michael stood, his presence a declaration. "When you saw my husband, your faces turned pale. Not because of who he is, but because he represents the life I built without you. One you can't control." Scarlett sobbed quietly. Ethan stared at the floor. My mother grabbed her purse. "We're leaving." But my father didn't move. "I'm staying," he said. "Willow and I have things to mend." My mother stared, stunned. Then she left. Scarlett followed, but before she walked out, she turned to me. I'm done letting her control me. I want to make things right, if you'll let me. Ethan came last. I'm sorry, he said. I'll spend years being sorry. But I'm glad you found someone who sees you. Then he left too. The door closed. Silence. Michael squeezed my hand. You okay? And for the first time in years, I was. In the days after, the house felt quiet, like years of noise had finally drained out. My father stayed with us, and we talked in a way we never had before. No pretending, just honesty. One morning, he said, I spent so long trying not to make waves that I forgot how to protect the people who needed me most. I can't change the past, Willow. But I want to spend whatever time I have left being your dad. I reached for his hand. That's all I ever wanted. We stayed close after he returned to Boston. When he passed away months later, I flew back for the funeral. Scarlett stood beside me. She'd left Ethan, moved into her own place, and started over. For the first time, she looked like someone living her own life, not just performing it. Thanks for giving me another chance, she whispered. We're all rewriting old stories, I told her. You get to write yours too. My mother stayed distant, polite but brittle, stuck on the edge of my life where she could no longer hurt me. That boundary felt like victory. Back in Seattle, with Michael's hand in mine and a life I built from my own strength, I finally understood. I didn't win because they lost. I won because I healed. When I look back now, I don't think about the betrayal. I think about the rebuilding. I think about the woman I became when I stopped waiting to be chosen and started choosing myself. If you've ever survived family betrayal or had to rebuild from nothing, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's becoming everything they said you couldn't be.